Point of order.
I would like to seek two clarifications from you.
Number one.
With respect to a status update on Twitter documents and at some point in today's meeting,
Okay.
but also with respect to how do you decide who gets recognized in this committee? I have had my hand raised on multiple occasions, and I know that I've been the first person to have raised my hand on meeting after meeting after meeting, and yet you don't recognize me. I'm just wondering, can we count on your nonpartisanship as,
Yes, you
as
can,
chair of this committee?
you can,
I'm not done
Ms.
talking,
Khalid.
Mr. Chair.
You can, Ms. Khalid. I've recognized Mr. Barrett to start because his hand was up.
The meeting hasn't. No,
It did. As soon as the gavel dropped, you can challenge me if you like. Challenge me.
That's absolutely fine, but I would like an update as to why we have committee business today when we have so many motions that that we've had to go through and so many issues that that we needed to get through, and yet we're having another committee business meeting today, which doesn't help us understand because we haven't seen any work plans from you, we haven't seen any witness lists from you, we haven't seen how we are going to conduct ourselves with respect to all of these motions. And I don't understand why we had a committee.
So I was going to
today.
update the committee before your point of order.
No, Chair, clearly you passed the floor to Mr. Barrett, which is your right, absolutely, you know, because you only see that side of the floor. Great, good for you. But I would like to know what exactly it is that we're doing here. If we're having a committee business meeting, then I would like to know what is the committee's business from you, Chair, from all of these motions that we've passed, with all of these witnesses that we've submitted on all of these various studies, and yet we have no idea as to what it is that we're doing, except for calling motion after motion and just only referring to Mr. Barrett. Mr. Barrett might as well be.
You want me to answer the question?
Mr. Barrett might as well be the chair of this committee.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Is that a nomination?
Yeah. Okay. So the committee business was to update the committee on where we're at with witnesses. We had some challenges based on the fact that the motion was passed last Tuesday on the CRA. So as it stands right now, I wanted to update the committee that on the 19th, we've got the Privacy Commissioner scheduled. We have got H&R Block, so we just couldn't get anybody scheduled for today. H&R Block is also scheduled, and then on the 21st, we're still waiting to hear from the minister. The request has been made to have the minister appear before the committee, and then we're going to have the commissioner of the CRA. The challenge is that some of the commissioners are out of the country, and so we've been able to schedule those for the week of the 19th when we get back. I've got Mr. Barrett followed by Mr. Villemure. Go ahead, Mr. Barrett, please. You have the floor.
Chair, I'm going to move a motion in regards to Minister Randy Boissonnault's involvement in global health imports and the firm's contracts with the Government of Canada. The committee call the following witnesses: Shauna Parker and Felix Papineau of Global Health Imports, Minister Randy Boissonnault, and Melvina Gowie. I've sent that to the clerk in both official languages, Chair, and I'd like to speak to the motion.
Okay, the motion is in order. Madam Clerk, have you shared that motion with members of the committee? It'll be coming around in a second. Mr. Barrett, you said you'd like to speak to the motion. Go ahead, sir.
Chair, it's a bit like Groundhog Day when it comes to this scandal with Randy Boissonnault. And it continues to both get headlines but concern Canadians, and with respect to our obligation and our mandate under the Conflict of Interest Act and the obligations of that minister to abide by it. And we've had appearances at this committee by the minister, by his business partners, and the minister claimed that he was not the person in question, that it was another Randy, that it wasn't him. But we have now new text messages or WhatsApp messages that are from Stephen Anderson from 2022, say, I just updated Felix and Randy, and we've got another, I won't tell Shauna and Felix and Randy yet. Now, while Mr. Anderson, the business partner, the 50% business partner with Justin Trudeau's minister from Edmonton, Randy Boissonnault, he claimed it was an autocorrect.
9 times.
9 times. But we now have more messages, so it would have to be more than 9 times. But in none of those 9 instances, nor in the new documents, does anyone ask, oh, who do you mean? Because I'm not familiar with that name. Oh, is that a typo? Is it someone else? No, they say it's Randy. Now, Randy has said that he's not the Randy in question. But we also have confirmation that there was no other Randy who worked at this firm. So we later learned that when the Liberal minister from Edmonton had said that he couldn't have communicated with his business partner, Stephen Anderson, on the dates in question, he was at a Liberal cabinet retreat and he was in a room impenetrable by electronic communications, and his phone was locked in a box and buried under the building. That, well, he did actually exchange text messages and have a phone call with his business partner, Stephen Anderson. So it's another example where we see that this Liberal minister is not being truthful. We also know that while he was a 50% owner of the company, they won a contract with the government of Canada. Well, he was sitting around the cabinet table. Of course, none of these things are acceptable, but what is of paramount importance is that when we have an issue like we did with Mr. Anderson, who this committee did vote by majority to send to the House, that he had been in contempt and had prevaricated when he was here, and the Speaker has ruled on that. Well, now we have an issue of a similar nature with respect to the minister. So I'm not today looking for the committee to take a decision on if there's been a contempt by the minister, but I do think that we need information about this. And while these text messages or WhatsApp messages add a new dimension to what this committee's dealing with, it comes down to whether or not the minister was honest when he testified at this committee. But there's a story in the National Post today that says, Liberal minister's former business questioned over Indigenous claims in government contract bids. And it's highly suspicious at best. At best. But at worst, it's fraud. And so, while that issue is one that perhaps we can discuss another day, it does certainly speak to the apparent dishonesty by the minister. We can't have people come before parliamentary committees and do anything other than tell us the truth. They can't not answer the question, and they can't lie to us.
Right.
So we do need answers to that. It is incumbent on this committee. And what we've heard time and time again from members of the Liberal Party is that, well, the ethics commissioner looked at it and said it was fine. Well, then he had to look at it again because it turns out he wasn't given all of the information. And then he had to look at it again because he wasn't given all of the information. I think that he's going to find himself surprised that he was again deprived of all of the information. But that's for the ethics commissioner to decide. He can take his own, he can take his decisions about what he would like to do. But this committee is solely responsible for whether or not we permit people to come before this committee and lie. And so we need to get answers, and it's important that the witnesses that are proposed in the motion also come and speak to this, because we've seen so far that the co-owners of the company have demonstrated themselves not to be honest. We are not looking for Mr. Anderson to return. The committee has taken a decision with respect to his conduct before this committee, referred it to the House, and the House will deal with it. But we do need to speak to another parliamentarian, his business partner, Mr. Boissonnault, and we need to hear from these two folks who come up every single time the minister's name is mentioned, and that's Shauna and Felix. No one in this committee should want to be made a fool of by people who are invited to come before us. But that's what's happening. We are being made a fool of by these witnesses who have come before the committee, and it can't be allowed to stand that that Randy Boissonnault can offer a different set of facts in answering the same question every time he comes before the committee. He needs to come here, tell us the truth, and then we can move on. But until we've finally got the truth, then this committee needs to undertake this study and get resolution.
Absolutely.
Thank you.